The cry beneath the floorboard snow fell softly over the broken ruins of the old alien station. The metal walls were cold and rusted. Some were covered in strange moss. Others were cracked open, like bones sticking from the earth. Rion walked slowly through the wreckage. His boots crunched on frozen ground. He was alone, as always. Just another scavenger looking for something to sell. He carried a flashlight in one hand, a small blaster in the other. Most of the station had been picked, clean years ago, but maybe, just maybe, there was something left. He stepped into a dark room. The door creaked behind him. Broken crates, shattered glass, and empty cages lined the walls. It smelled like dust and old metal. He turned to leave. Then he heard it. Sound. Faint. Soft. A cry. He stopped. His breath formed clouds in the cold air. The sound came again, so quiet he thought it was his mind playing tricks. But no. It was real. A sob. He turned off his flashlight and crouched low, ears sharp. The sound was below. Below the floor. There was something under him. Carefully, Ryan moved a large broken panel aside. Beneath it, he found another floor. This one sealed with thin, rusted bars, a hidden level, forgotten. He shined his light down and froze. There was a cage. Inside it, curled up and shaking, was a girl. No clothes. No blanket, only skin covered in dirt, scars, and frost. Her knees were pulled up to her chest, her arms wrapped around her legs. Her head was down, her face hidden by long black hair. But Ryan could see her eyes. Wide, glowing, terrified. Her thin body shook as she cried. Not loud, just soft, broken sobs. She didn't even look at him. She had given up. Ryan's throat tightened. He lowered himself down carefully. His boots landed beside the cage with a soft thud. The girl flinched. She made no sound, but her body pressed against the far corner of the bars, like she expected pain. "I'm not here to hurt you," Ryan said quietly. "Do you understand me?" She didn't answer. She didn't move. Only her tears moved, rolling down her blue cheeks like melted ice. Ryan knelt beside the cage. His heart beat hard. This girl, alien or not, was just a child. Maybe 16. Maybe younger. What kind of monster had put her here? In the cold, alone, forgotten. He reached into his coat and pulled out a wrapped food bar. Slowly he unwrapped it and pushed it through the bars. The girl didn't touch it. Instead, her glowing eyes lifted just for a second and met his. Then she looked down again. Ryan felt like he was staring at someone who had been buried alive. He stood up and looked at the lock. It was old, damaged. He pulled a tool from his belt and started working. After a minute, the lock clicked open. The door creaked. The girl didn't move. She thought it was a trick. Ryan took off his coat. Slowly, he walked into the cage, knelt down, and placed the coat beside her. Then he stepped back and sat against the wall, far from her, hands open. "You're free now," he said softly. "You can leave." No reply. Only silence. A long, cold silence. Then, slowly, carefully, the girl reached for the coat. She pulled it over herself, shivering. She still didn't look at him. But she wasn't crying anymore. Not yet smiling. But not crying. That was something. Ryan stayed still. He didn't speak again. He didn't move closer. He just waited. And in the stillness of that dark room, something began to change. For the first time in a long time, someone had come for her, not to hurt her, but to save her, and she didn't know why. Rion sat by the cold wall for a long time. He didn't speak. He didn't move. The girl, still curled in the cage, held his coat tightly around her body. She had stopped crying, but her eyes stayed low. Every part of her looked like it was ready to break. When he finally stood up, her body stiffened. She pressed herself into the corner like a shadow trying to disappear. Ryan raised his hands slowly. "It's okay," he said. "I'm just getting a blanket. You'll freeze in here." He walked back up through the floor panel. His boots echoed in the empty station. In his small bag, he found a thermal blanket, some dried fruit, and a water pouch. He came back down and laid the items near the cage, not too close. She didn't reach for them. Ryan sat again, silent. The girl stared at the food. Then, she looked at him. Just a quick glance. But it was enough. He smiled gently and turned his face away, giving her privacy. After a few more minutes, her hands moved. She grabbed the water pouch first. She drank so fast that she coughed. Then she chewed the dried fruit, one bite at a time, like someone afraid it would vanish. Ryan watched, quietly. She was more than hungry. She was starved, not just in body, but in spirit. And she flinched at everything, even kindness. When he moved too fast, her whole body shook. When he dropped something, she covered her head. When he said gentle words, her eyes filled with fear. Not trust, Ryan didn't ask questions, not yet. That night, he didn't leave her alone. He stayed in the room, far from the cage, curled near the old crates. He didn't light a fire, he didn't make noise, just gave her space. But he didn't leave. She kept glancing at him from under the coat. He saw it, but never reacted. In Noi, the deep night when everything was quiet. She finally spoke. Her voice was dry, weak, barely a whisper. "Why?" Ryan looked up. The girl was sitting now, not hiding. He sat up slowly. "Why? What?" Her eyes were glowing faintly in the dark. "Why? Don't you hurt me?" Ryan's heart dropped. So that's what she expected? Pain. That was all she had ever known. He stood slowly, walked to a corner, and sat near, but not close. "Because I'm not like them," he said softly. "You're not an object. You're not a slave. You're just a girl who deserves to live." She looked down again, silent, but something inside her cracked, something old, something chained. The next morning, Ryan brought her a fresh piece of cloth, loose pants, and a soft shirt he found in his pack. Not perfect, not warm, but better than nothing. He folded the clothes and turned his back. "You can change, I won't look." No sound. Then, behind him, the soft rustle of cloth. He smiled to himself. Later, they sat together, not side by side, but not as strangers anymore. She held the food with steady hands now. Ryan pointed to himself. "Ryan," he said. She didn't answer. He smiled. "You don't have to tell me your name yet. When you're ready." She nodded. That evening, he asked, "Do you want to leave this place?" The girl stared at the doorway. Her lips trembled. "Outside is worse," she whispered. "Not if you're with me," he replied. Her eyes filled with tears again, but this time they weren't from pain. Maybe they were hope. Before sleeping, she whispered something in her own language. Ryan didn't understand. He asked, "What did you say?" She paused, then softly translated, "Free?" One word, so small, so heavy. Ryan walked over, knelt down, and looked into her eyes. "Yes," he said, "you're free now." The next morning, the girl stood outside the ruined building for the first time. The wind was cold, but she didn't complain. She held Ryan's old jacket tightly around her and kept her eyes low. She still hadn't shared her name, but she walked beside him. Not behind, not hidden, beside. They left the station ruins and entered the open ice fields. Ryan's small transport sled waited nearby. It was old and rusty, but it moved. He helped her into the passenger seat, and she didn't resist. That alone meant something. For a long time, they rode in silence. Then, after miles of frozen silence, Ryan spoke. "Do you remember where you came from?" The girl looked away. He didn't press further. They stopped by an old trading outpost for supplies. Ryan told her to stay hidden while he went inside. He bought food, water, and a heating cell. Nothing unusual. But as he turned to leave, he heard a voice behind him. "That the girl you took from Site 47? Ryan froze. Two men stood in the corner. One wore a mercenary coat, the other a scanner helmet. He didn't answer. The man stepped closer. "They said someone broke into the ruins. Freed, a locked asset." Ryan kept his hand near his belt. "She's not an asset. She's property. She's a person." The man chuckled. "No, friend, she's registered, tracked, tagged. You're not a hero. You're a thief." Ryan's jaw clenched. He turned and left, fast. When he returned to the sled, the girl was already sitting up, eyes alert. "You're scared," she said softly. Ryan nodded. "They know." Her face dropped. She clutched the coat tighter. "They always find me. We'll keep moving." "But they have scanners," she whispered. "They marked me long ago." Ryan looked at her. "Let me see." She hesitated. Then, slowly, she rolled up her sleeve. On her wrist was a faint scar, barely visible, but under it, when he scanned with a basic tool, a small tracking signal blinked faintly. "You were tagged," he said. She nodded. "They bought me." "Who?" She looked at him for a long time, then finally whispered, "The Red Trade." Ryan's stomach turned. The Red Trade wasn't just a slaver ring, it was one of the cruelest in the galaxy. They didn't just sell bodies, they broke them, they erased names, families, even memories. Survivors were rare, escapes even rarer. And yet, here she was, and they were coming. "We'll cut the tag," Ryan said. She pulled her arm back. "It hurts. I remember the pain. We'll do it fast." Ryan didn't wait. He used a microscalpel and a heat band to carefully slice the skin above the chip. The girl trembled, but didn't cry. She bit her lip until it bled, but said nothing. The chip fell into his hand. He crushed it with a rock. And then, for the first time, she exhaled deeply, as if something inside her finally loosened. "I'm not theirs anymore," she whispered. "No," Ryan said. "You never were." That night they made a small camp behind frozen rocks. Ryan gave her food. She ate slowly now, not like before. Her body was healing. As they sat near the heater, she asked, "Why do humans care?" "What do you
mean?"
"You're the first one who didn't try to own me, or sell me." Ryan didn't answer at first. Then he said, "Because some of us remember what it's like to be helpless." She nodded slowly. Then quietly, she said, "I was taken when I was small. My family, gone. They changed my name, gave me a number. I don't remember who I was. You can choose your name now." She looked at the stars. "I don't know any." He smiled. "Then wait. One will come to you." She looked at him. This time no fear in her eyes. Only light. Only hope. Somewhere far behind them, scanners still searched the ice. But she was no longer just prey. She was becoming someone again. The sun had not risen for 2 days. Thick clouds hung over the frozen lands, and the wind howled like a warning. Ryan's small sled moved carefully through narrow valleys, its engine barely humming. Inside the cabin, the girl sat beside him, wrapped in thick blankets. Her eyes scanned the snow. She was no longer shaking, but she was not at peace either. She was watching. Waiting. "I feel them," she whispered. "They're coming." Ryan tightened his grip on the controls. "I know." They had changed routes 3 times in 2 days. No signals, no transmissions, no stops. Still, the hunters were gaining. The Red Trade didn't let go of anything, especially not her. "How do they track you now?" Rion asked. "They don't need a chip," she said. "They know my mind." He looked at her, confused. "Your mind?" The girl turned to him. Her eyes glowed softly. "They trained me to feel things, to sense others. I learned too well. Now they can feel me too." Rion slowed the sled. You're psychic. She looked down. They called it sensitivity. I call it a curse. Before he could answer, a warning light blinked on the console. Motion detected, far behind. Multiple heat signatures. Fast. Ryan cursed under his breath and slammed a button. The sled's speed increased. Snow kicked up behind them as they shot across the white plains. They found us, he said. The girl didn't panic. She stared behind them, eyes focused. They're using drones. 1 ship, 2 skimmers. Ryan was impressed. How do you know? I can feel the engines. Like a hum in my blood. Useful skill. Painful skill. He nodded. But there was no time to talk. They raced across frozen cliffs, dodging cracks and broken towers. Behind them, shadows moved in the sky, black ships against white clouds. They'll shoot soon, she said. Rion opened a secret panel in the sled and pulled out a small energy cannon. He tossed her a pair of goggles. Ever used one of these? She caught the goggles but didn't put them on. I was trained to fight, but I never wanted to. He raised the cannon. Time to want it. A laser hit the sled's rear. The engine sparked and the sled skidded across the ice. Hang on, Ryan shouted. They spun wildly, crashing into a snowbank. The sled flipped, metal groaning, sparks flying, then silence. Ryan coughed, blood on his lip. The girl crawled out first, limping but alive. She reached for him. Get up, she whispered. We don't die here. Ryan stood, groaning. That's the first command you've given me. She helped him up. Behind them, the hunters landed. Dark figures stepped out, tall, armored, faceless. Their guns hummed with energy. She belongs to us, one of them said through a voice modulator. Rion raised the cannon. She belongs to no one. The girl stepped forward. Her hair blew in the wind. Her eyes glowed brighter than ever. I am not property, she said. You were built for control, the lead hunter replied. She smiled, cold and quiet. Then let me show you what control looks like. She lifted her hands. The wind around them screamed. The hunters staggered, confused. Then, boom, the ground cracked. A wave of invisible force exploded from her body. Snow blasted in all directions. The nearest hunter flew backward, armor shattering. The others opened fire. Ryan pulled her down. Lasers sizzled above their heads. He shouted, "Can you do that again?" She nodded, "Yes, but not alone." "What do you need?" Her voice was clear now. "You." Ryan looked at her, confused. She grabbed his hand. "Your mind is quiet, calm. It helps me focus." He squeezed her hand back. "Then take what you need." Together they stood. Her power grew. Another wave exploded outward, this time with precision. It ripped the weapons from the hunters' hands. It cracked their helmets. It made them run. Within seconds, the skimmers were retreating. The fight was over. For now. The girl collapsed to her knees, exhausted. Ryan caught her. "You okay?" She nodded weakly. "They'll return." He looked at the wrecked sled. "Then we don't stay here." He carried her across the snow. But something had changed. She had fought back. And she was no longer just a girl in a cage. She was something more. A storm with a heartbeat. And Ryan was the only one standing beside her. The storm hit without warning. Black clouds rolled in over the cliffs, and cold rain fell like needles. Ryan and the girl found shelter in a half-collapsed watchtower, long forgotten by both humans and aliens. The roof leaked, the wind howled, but it was better than the open plains. Inside, it was dark and wet. The fire Ryan started barely stayed alive. The girl sat near it, arms wrapped around her knees. Her skin steamed slightly from the sudden warmth, and her wet hair stuck to her face. She said nothing for a long time. Neither did Ryan. He removed his jacket and handed it to her again. She took it this time without flinching. Her hands trembled. But not from cold. "Why don't you ask?" she said at last. Ryan looked up. "Ask what?" "Who I am. What I am. Why they want me." Ryan poked the fire with a metal rod. "You'll tell me when you're ready." She gave a short, bitter laugh. I was ready years ago, but no one ever listened. He waited. The rain hit the walls harder now. She looked into the fire. Her voice was flat, empty, but the words hit like blades. They took me when I was 5. The red trade. My village was small, poor. I remember screams. Fire. I hid under the floor with my brother. They found me. Not him. Ryan's jaw tightened. They said I had something rare, something valuable. My mind, my blood. I didn't understand. They tested me, hurt me, made me break things, burn things, move things with thoughts. She reached out slowly, and the flame in the fire pit danced without wind. I was their little weapon. Ryan said nothing. She continued, softer now. They erased my name, gave me a number. Subject 8F. Said I was worth more than most, but I failed their final test. What test? Ryan asked gently. They told me to kill someone. She looked at him, and I said no. The fire cracked, so they locked me away. If they couldn't sell me, they'd hide me. Forget me, but keep me alive, just in case. Her voice broke now. Tears mixed with the rain dripping down her cheeks. I didn't cry at first. I was strong. I thought someone would come. She looked up at Ryan. No one did, until Urion moved closer, still keeping a bit of distance. I'm sorry, he said. She wiped her eyes with her sleeve. You don't have to be. No, Ryan said firmly. I do. Because people made you a prisoner just for being born. Different, that's wrong. He reached into his bag and pulled out a worn cloth. Let me show you something. He unfolded it. Inside were patches, small symbols, names stitched into each. My squad, he explained. Long ago I fought, in the border wars. I've seen people locked away, crushed, erased just because they were special. I left, I walked away from it all, I swore I wouldn't be part of it again. He looked at her. But then I found you, and I realized walking away isn't the same as doing right. She stared at the cloth for a long time. Then she whispered, Do you remember your name? He smiled. Ryan Kai. And you? She hesitated. Then, for the first time, she whispered, My name was Luma. He repeated it softly. Luma. She nodded. Say it again, she said. Luma. A small smile touched her lips, the first real smile since he found her. The fire burned a little brighter. Outside, the rain softened. Inside, something stronger grew between them, not just survival, but understanding. And as the storm faded, Ryan looked at her and said, You're not a weapon, you're not a subject, you're Luma. And in the quiet, wet night, she believed him. The next morning, the sky was quiet. No ships, no hunters, no signs of pursuit. But Ryan didn't feel safe, and Luma didn't smile. They had crossed 3 ridges by noon. The wind was soft now, but it carried a strange silence, a warning. Luma stopped, walking. She closed her eyes. They're close again, she whispered. Ryan nodded. We keep moving, but Luma didn't move. No, she said. They're not chasing this time. What do you mean? They've surrounded us. Ryan looked around. Empty white hills, silent snowfields, no cover, a perfect trap. He cursed under his breath and checked his blaster. That's when the sky screamed. 3 dropships broke through the clouds, dark, fast, armed. They landed all at once. Dozens of soldiers poured out. Red trade enforcers in red-black armor. Their helmets glowed, their guns pointed forward. Ryan grabbed Luma's hand. Run, she didn't move. They're not here to capture me, she said quietly. He looked at her. They're here to erase me. The lead enforcer stepped forward, a tall figure with silver marks across his chest plate. Luma, he said. You don't belong to yourself. She stood tall, coat flapping in the wind. I do now. You are company property, he said flatly. A weapon under contract. Ryan stepped in front of her. She's not a weapon. The enforcer raised his hand. The soldiers aimed. Luma's eyes closed. She didn't run, didn't hide, didn't cry. She whispered one word. Enough. The snow around her began to swirl. Ryan felt it first, like pressure in the air, like a storm about to scream. Luma. But she wasn't listening. Her eyes opened, and they were blazing white. The storm exploded. Wind tore through the valley. The snow lifted like a wave, crashing into the enforcers. Guns flew from hands, visors cracked, the ground shook. Luma floated an inch above the snow. Power rolled off her like heat. But she wasn't done. They had chained her for years. Now, every chain broke at once. She screamed, not in pain, but in fury. A deep, raw sound that echoed through the cliffs. One by one, the soldiers dropped their weapons. Some ran, some begged. The lead enforcer stood firm. "You'll burn out," he shouted. "You're not stable." Luma looked at him and walked forward. The ground cracked under her steps. "I wasn't stable," she said, "but he made me whole." She looked back at Ryan for just a second, then she raised her hands. The enforcer raised his gun. Too late. A pulse of light slammed into him. His armor broke. His body flew back 20 feet. He didn't get up. Silence fell. Luma dropped to her knees. Her power flickered and faded. Ryan ran to her. She was breathing hard, face pale, body weak. He caught her before she collapsed. "I'm here," he whispered. She smiled faintly. "Did I break it?" she asked. "What? The last chain?" Ryan nodded. "Yes, Luma. You did." She leaned against him. "I don't want to be a weapon." "You aren't," he said. "You're free now." As he carried her through the snow, the dropships behind them lay broken, and so did the past. For the first time, no one chased her. No one owned her. No one commanded her. Luma was free, not because she ran, not because she hid, but because she chose to fight. And someone believed she was more than a tool. She was a soul. And now, she was whole. 3 weeks had passed. No more hunters. No more ships in the sky. No more voices calling her subject, asset, or property. Only silence. Only peace. Only the sound of birds returning to the hills. Luma sat on a wooden bench outside a small cabin on the edge of a quiet human village. Wind moved softly through the trees. A child's laughter echoed somewhere nearby. She watched the sky. Blue. Open. Infinite. And for the first time, it didn't scare her. Behind her, Ryan stepped outside carrying 2 cups of warm tea. He set one beside her and sat down. His coat was patched now. His hands had small cuts from building, fixing, planting, but his eyes were calm. They sat in silence. Peace didn't need words. Finally, Ryan asked, "Sleep okay?" Luma nodded. "Better. No dreams last night." "That's a good sign." She smiled a little. "I used to dream of cages, cold metal, screaming. Now I dream of rain. Soft rain. That's what healing looks like." She looked at him. "Do you think it'll last?" Ryan took a sip from his cup. "If we make it." She didn't speak for a moment. Then she whispered, "You made me believe I could be more than what they made me." "You were always more," he said. "You just needed someone to remind you." A group of children ran past the fence, chasing a ball made of cloth. One little girl tripped and fell in the dirt. Luma stood quickly and helped her up. The girl smiled, wide-eyed. "You're the pretty alien who glows." Luma laughed softly. "Not always pretty." "You are now," the child said proudly, and ran off again. Ryan watched her. "You're good with kids." Luma returned to the bench. "I don't know how to live a normal life." "No one does," Ryan said. "We all just try." She looked down at her hands. "They don't shake anymore." He nodded. "They only shake when we're unsure." "I'm not unsure now." she said quietly. Ryan raised an eyebrow. About what? Luma turned toward him fully. I want to choose my own name. He smiled. You already told me. Luma. She shook her head. That was the name I remembered. But now, I want to make a new one. One no one gave me. One I give me. Ryan nodded slowly. Then choose it. She looked up at the sky again. I want to be called Eris. It means air. Something free. Something that moves. He whispered it once. Eris. She smiled. Yes, that's who I am now. Ryan held out his hand. Nice to meet you, Eris. She took it. Her grip was strong. She stood and looked out at the land below the hill. Farms, trees, rivers. A place where no one knew her past. Do you think I'll ever be normal? She asked. No, Ryan replied honestly. Her smile faded slightly. But then he added, You'll be better than normal. You survived the worst, and you still chose kindness that's stronger than anything. She turned to him. Will you stay? As long as you want. I want, she said. That night, as stars blinked above the quiet valley, Eris sat outside alone. No fear, no chains, just her heartbeat and the wind. Inside, Rian fell asleep in the chair with a book in his lap. And outside, Eris whispered, her new name to the stars. Once she had no name. Now she had chosen one. Once she was only a girl in a cage. Now she was free.